Welcome back to Division 2. This is DJ Kano, and we're just cruising over here in dark hours. And basically, I did there's nothing really crazy or special about this particular run, except for the fact that it was probably the smoothest run I've been a part of for sure, if not one of the smoothest, because we were able to get this done pretty quickly within about 30 minutes. So this raid group that I was with, I was able to find through a clanmate, a former clanmate, was able to find a Discord, and
Will,
I found a really good community of people.
You're supposed to be
And
on the right
these
side,
guys are really
with your blue guys.
really good at what they do in terms of this raid, and they know their stuff. I've learned a little bit about dark hours over the past few runs that I've done. I only have a small handful of clears basically under my belt, but I know enough that I'm not completely lost in this particular raid. But anyway, I kind of wanted to just go through the thought process for me anyway about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and basically give you an idea of from my perspective and my positions in the raid, what's going on. Okay, so it's just to give you an insight into if you were to think about getting into dark hours yourself, what would that look like? What would it be like? What would you be looking for step by step? Okay, anything that I'm sharing here in terms of, like I said, my perspective is solely on my gameplay and what I'm doing. It has nothing to do with the other players in this raid. It's going to be completely based on what I'm working on. And to be fair, the reason I say that is because I don't know every single role. I do what I'm assigned when I jump into a raid, and I follow the raid leader. That is basically what your role is, especially if you don't know every role, and if you're a guest in a particular raid, I will say that. Okay, so anyway, that's my little brief disclaimer there. Once you clear the tarmac, that was just that open area. You work with your team. Usually you split up into groups. It's a pretty simple clear. Just clear ads and get into this first boss area. So this boss area, this is the boomer boss area. Okay, so you can see based on the screen, right in front of you, there's that big center space over there. That center space has these little computers, panels for the computers where you have A, B, C, and D. I'm going to run over to it in just a second because the raid leader right now is explaining so-and-so goes here, so-and-so goes there, and it's all based on what your experience is, right? So I don't have too much experience, but I have enough experience that I know my section. Burger Town is where I'm placed. There's another guy over there onto my left. There's another guy on the opposite end by where the other terminals are. Basically, we're spread out for ad control, so we can monitor all the ads that are going to be swarming this area. The raid overall, both raids actually, I would say, when you go to a boss, it's going to be basically tasks you have to complete while being distracted by ads. There's a computer, you saw that real quickly. I'm in charge of the A computer because once I turn around, you see right there, it says online.
3, 2, 1.
So once online, there's going to be an alarm. Online will become a screen that shows you basically A, B, C, D. It tells you which computers need to be pressed. Okay, so that has a very big bearing on the ad control itself, and it's a mechanic that makes it very difficult if you don't follow that mechanic and disable it, basically. Okay, so there are these right in front of me, that little box. There's another box back there where the turret was. There are nodes throughout the entire map, and those nodes, if the NPCs, the ads, if they're actually standing within range of the nodes while active, they're going to be immune. There's a blue light that shines on them. They're immune from damage, so that means they're going to tear you up pretty hard. Okay. To take them down, you need to use the big guns, the big, I guess, heavy guns to the right over there, by where the other character is. You need those guns to take down the nodes. You also need those guns to get Boomer. He's right there on the right. You need the guns to take Boomer's backpack out and put him on his knees. So you see he's on his knees. The leader is basically saying, okay, do damage. We do damage every so often with small increments to take his health down. So while doing that, you see that I keep panning my camera to this door here to my left, because that door is my spawn. That's where my ads will come out. So my job is to make sure the ads don't sneak out and go out there and do damage to someone that's trying to complete their task, which is to take Boomer's health down, right? So you look at the computer right there. So it says A. I was supposed to get A, but someone was closer, and it's only a single computer. So they called it out. They said they got it. So I went back to my spot. Okay. So there's going to be a loud siren. You might have been able to actually hear it over the gameplay.
Almost down again.
And that tells you that that's when you have to look for the computers. So you have multiple people doing multiple things. It's just a matter of knowing what the tasks are within the boss area and everyone doing their part. And it doesn't always work out. That's the other very important part too. And when you're looking for a raid group, you want to find a group of guys that, depending what they're looking for, is what you're looking for. If you're new and you want to learn, but the group that you're with is trying to do a speed run, then that's probably not the best group for you to start with. It depends. You need to check in with them. Let them know that you're new, and see if they're allotted the time during their raid to teach and take you along. It may not be the case, so you know that's fine. If they're trying to rush through it and you can't hold up your end, or you're just not able to learn, even if you can hold up your end, then you want to go ahead and
all four computers.
Okay. All right, so they called it all 4 computers. I came over here and I called it out. I said I got my computer, which is A. Everybody else got theirs. If we missed the computer, the nodes come up, the ads will be immune until we can get the nodes down again. And it's just a whole extra thing that needs to be done that will not make it easy to get done. Not make the task easy of taking Boomer down. So like I said, these guys know what they were doing. Very fortunate to have run with them, like a few other groups that I've run with. But yeah, they took Boomer down relatively quickly. Okay, so you can see too, based on the gear that I'm looking at, raid gear is not especially better in terms of roles. So if you're not able to get into a raid, don't worry about the gear that you're getting. The only gear that you want is the gear that is going to be the raid exclusive stuff, right? So of course Dark Hours has the exotic Eagle Bearer, and there's some blueprints for, I think it's Negotiators, Dilemma, and Aces and Eights, I believe. I could be wrong. I haven't paid attention to those blueprints during this raid. I only came in to try and get the ED, which I fortunately already have, but I decided to run this back-to-back Dark Hours with these guys because they are part of this Discord where it's just a community of people running raids.
Thank you so much.
And I want to be able to contribute my time in
dancing on me.
So anyway, we were able to actually go ahead and open. We're getting the keys for the ED in the end, for the box in the end anyway. That was the first key. 2 people have to press a switch and a knob basically in the same time. Do it, the drones come out, and if it's done correctly, then that fence opens up, the gate opens up, so you can get the key. Not done correctly, you will have a problem. That key will not be able to get acquired. Okay, so now we're at the second boss, and raid leader is again going to explain who goes where, what they're doing. For the most part, this entire raid is DPS driven. So if you have a DPS build, something that is very strong, something that you can output a lot of damage, you can be like what I'm doing. I'm basically just DPS support. I'm not doing any of the hardcore active roles except for ad control. Okay, so for this one, I'll be honest, I don't really know exactly how this boss works, and I've not done the research. I really should, so I understand it better. I can be more helpful. I recommend that to anybody else too. If you're trying to jump into a raid and you don't know enough about it, either ask questions during the raid or go find out for yourself. There's lots of information online to give you the scoops on what's actually happening in the raid. So I do know that we're on one side, they're on the other side. They do have the panels, if you can see in the distance on the airplane right there, and they're pressing buttons in coordination with each other on this side and that side. So it's furthermore just an example of teamwork that's required for the raid. So you have to communicate, you have to work together, and once they get pressed in a particular sequence, then you're going to have the bosses come out. And there's a particular way of how these guys took the bosses down. Like I said, if I did my research, I think I'd understand this a little bit better, but I don't have to research yet. I just listened to what the raid leader said. They said shoot, I shoot. Okay, I did put my turret up there on the top because this area I do know from these windows on this side and the other side, there are a bunch of snipers that will spawn. And the snipers can be annoying and they can hurt you pretty quickly, pretty easily. So you do want to try to have that damage mitigated by the snipers. So there's one sniper right there. Not sure why my damage, I think my damage wasn't doing too much. Probably because of the purple smoke. I know that the purple does prevent damage or something like that. Allows you to not do damage. When it's orange, you can do damage more effectively. Okay?
Yeah, I know it.
So basically that's it. This one was just a matter of knowing which boss to shoot when, and listening to my radio. That's all it was. Yeah, so very, very simple. Boomer is definitely way more involved than this boss. Boomer, the first boss, some people do say that it is actually, aside from Razorback, you know, probably the hardest boss.
Kill, Ricochet.
People could argue that Razorback in the end, which you'll see, Razorback in the end, you'll see, is actually quite complex in its own right.
Come on to this side and kill.
But I don't know. I think they're both equally complex. Okay, so now we killed the one boss. We've been instructed to come over and just do damage to this other boss, and we're trying to just get rid of him, get him out of here. Okay, so while we're doing this, there's nothing extra special going on except for shooting. You do notice that I am using the Scorpio. A lot of other people, many people would consider it as an essential for raids in general, because the Scorpio does have the crowd control aspect to it. It has the status effects. So when you're hitting an ad, especially an elite, which takes a lot of damage, you do want to be able to stop them in their tracks so they're not running around, jumping around while you're trying to shoot them, or they're not shooting you while you're shooting them. So if they're afflicted with status effects, it pauses them at least to prevent them from shooting you, which is really nice. Okay, so Scorpios become kind of a standard. I'm also using, I believe I'm using Baker's Dozen as my secondary for this one. I float between the Baker's Dozen and the Rail Splitter. I actually use the Rail Splitter for my for the Razorback, because it helps me when it has the boomers in the very end. So I'll tell you what that is when we get to that point. Okay, so moving on, we're about to move forward and acquire the next key. So there are some things in between, small little spots where you do have to go and clear out ads and such in between the bosses. Okay. So yeah, if you've never seen what Dark Hours looks like on the inside, I know there are some people that maybe just don't have an interest in it or haven't had the chance. So it's really cool to see the innards of the raid. Not something that you can do solo. You do need a group to take you through it. Or I guess you could do it on Discovery. I've never actually gone through Discovery with less than 8 people, but yeah, I guess you could try. Okay, so this particular spot, you don't want to progress too far. I don't recall where the exact spot was, but you can see how everyone comes up to here, to this portion, where there's going to be the next key. But no one progresses further until we're instructed. Okay, so you just have to throw a frag grenade through the window on the right over here. You'll see this guy right over here. Throw it in. I think that was Homelander.
I got elevator.
And there's just a yellow lock on the inside, which breaks, and then you can open the door, and you can go ahead and open the key box. So this is key number 2. For those that don't know, you acquire keys throughout the raid. You can get up to 5 keys. Allows you to open the box at the very end. Okay, so here you go. We're running in. There's an elevator at the very back of this room, all the way in the back. You can see where he's running. I think it's James. Yeah, so hard to see because I'm over here trying to set up my turret for ad control. But basically at the far back end of this room, right where the blue dot is in the distance, right there where James is, you see it on the far end, there's an elevator that you have to run back there, and someone has to get into that elevator before the door shuts. If you don't get in there before the door shuts, you're not going to be able to acquire the key that is in there. That is key number 3. And it's not the end of the world if you don't get it, but that means you're going to have to actually get back into the raid again from scratch to acquire that key if you haven't gotten it. Okay. So that's it. Once someone's in the elevator, you can go ahead and clear the ads. There's a bunch of dogs over here. That right side spawn's very important. And yeah, that's it. Once you do this, you get on to the next boss. Next boss is Buddy and Lucy. They're the 2...
Key the elevator, don't forget it.
Warhounds, basically. Okay, there it is. The key's right there in the elevator. Okay. So key number 3, if you get all 5 keys, you can open the box at the end. You don't have to get the 5 keys. As long as you have 5 keys, it could be from multiple runs or half runs. As long as you've acquired 5 keys from within the raid, you can open the box at the very end. And I can't remember exactly what the percentage is, but I think I was told at one time that opening the box gives you at least a 10% chance of getting the Eagle Bear. The Eagle Bear can still drop for you at the end, or I think at bosses. but your best shot, being 10%, is the box at the end. Keep in mind, it's also 10% per week, so you cannot acquire keys twice in a week within the same character. So if you have multiple characters, you can go ahead and
Lucy's side by Homelander.
So for example, use my alt and run a raid, and then my alt could acquire keys again. Okay, so right now I'm pretty sure what's happening is I wasn't completely paying attention to my raid leader, so I'm at the wrong spot, and then he's gonna be
so
like, bro,
DJ,
can you go here?
come with me with
I'm like,
option,
oh, yeah,
and basically choose a cover on this side.
So
please.
I'm over there on the right spot now.
Thank you.
Okay, so what's going to happen is there's going to be the two dogs. One is by James in that cage. The other one's to my right in the other cage. They're going to come out. These guys do it a very particular way. Other people do it separately, but they're going to draw the dogs toward the middle. Dogs come to the middle, and we're going to do damage together. So if you look at the meter, directly in the middle of the screen, Buddy Lucy's health, there is a cylinder, a white cylinder bar on the right. You need to keep their health both in that cylinder as it moves. Once it drops out of the cylinder, you see that that helicopter spin with the gun that Lucy was just doing. She'll do that, and she can kill you with one blow. So you want to prevent that from happening by keeping their health within that cylinder. You see the cylinder shrinking as it gets close to the end. So you got to work as a team, communicate who you're shooting at the same time. So a couple of us are shooting Buddy, a couple of us are shooting Lucy. There's that spin she had, but she went down. She's dead. Okay. So you see how quick it can be if you have communication. You got people knowing what they're doing.
Lemon squeezy.
All right. Again,
went down
nothing
to
significant
Tika,
in terms of loot. That's fine. And now, as quickly as that was, I think we're only less than 20 minutes in, and we're already through 3 of the bosses. Now we just got to take on the Razorback. This is a more complicated version of the Razorback than what you see at Liberty Island against Keener. The one that's at Liberty Island, I think it's Liberty Island. Yeah, I think it's Liberty Island. The one that's over there is significantly less complicated. This one has a lot more plates. I think it only has 1 or 2 plates at Liberty Island. This one has still has drones. Yes, the targets are pretty similar, but I think this one definitely requires a lot more damage output to take it down. Okay. Not to mention there are other mechanics involved, like the boomers that come out. That if you don't kill them, they will wipe, and you will have to come all the way back to the beginning of this boss. What else is there? The plates. Okay, so there's plates 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're going to be separated throughout the basically just throughout the map down there. Okay, and you're going to have 4 people that are going to be in charge of jumping on those plates. The other 4 out of the 8 are going to be doing what's a lot of people call Overwatch. So the ones that are doing the plates, someone's going to coordinate, and they're going to say, okay, everybody, you're going to jump on the plates. You have to do it at the same time. It's one of those things where you're in proximity, just like the one in Canada, and there's going to be percentage that builds up by you standing on the plate. And that percentage needs to rank up the same time. So all 4 people need to do that together. If 3 go on and 1 person's late, and there's not going to be perfect. There's a variation, I think, of a few percentage. As long as it's not too wide of a percentage gap, then it'll be fine. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
You don't have ammo, you mean?
Okay.
No, it's fine. I have ammo.
So once you do that, it exposes a panel, I believe, which you can shoot off with the crossbow, with the specialization, the survivalist specialization. Once that panel is blown off, you'll throw a grenade into it, and that actually activates the weak points on the Razorback. So that is basically all you need to finish the Razorback. It's really not difficult to take out the Razorback. However, there are ads that constantly spawn, and these are some of the tankiest ads ever. So if you've never done a raid, I mean, I would compare them to being quite tanky, maybe like a legendary tanky, kind of like that. They do quite a good amount of damage to you as well. Okay, so my job is number 1. You can see right there, number 1 on top of that rocket. 2 is in the distance ahead of me. 3 is diagonal to me. 4 is to the right of me. So I'm in charge of Overwatch 1. I'm basically trying to make sure the ads that spawn in my area do not bleed out and damage the guys on the plates that are trying to actually take out the Razorback. So I need to go and do my job and do that. Everybody else, is there going to be an overwatch on that side? They're watching their spawns. Boomer will come out incrementally. Okay, so basically it's a big tanky dude, a chungus looking dude that, well, a boomer looking dude. He looks like the boomer, the first boss. And he'll come out, and he's actually, when he comes out, I'll tell you about him. When he comes out and he's part of a white mechanic. If you don't stop him, he will wipe this boss, and you have to go back to the beginning. Okay, so ads are coming out. We're just clearing out ads, and you're going to hear the leader. He's go ahead, and he's going to talk about, okay, we're going on plates. You're going to hear the percentages, and you're going to hear him basically just explain what's happening. Okay, so I'm changing to my real splitter because it's going to be more effective for my boomer when he comes out. Okay. So I've never done Overwatch 1. It might look like I'm just running around. It's partly because I'm looking for the spawn because I'm not too familiar. I know one's going to be to the right of me where I shot the first couple guys. There's the window where we all walked in from. That is also a spawn. And later do I find out that the big truck that's right behind the rocket launcher is another spawn. Okay, so even though there's an Overwatch on that side, you know, there's nobody else. I double check. Oh, there we go. Want to make sure I watch my spot too and not get too overrun. Okay, so I want to keep the ads to a minimum, but we watch each other's backs as well. Okay, so it's a matter of teamwork and potentially communication if we need to. We don't communicate too much for everything though. That's important because if you have the raid leader saying, okay, everyone plates are things that are very important, you can't be bogging it down with things like, oh, there's ads here. Oh, can you help me with this ads here? Oh, there's this over here. You can't point everything out because you're gonna wash out the comms, and they can't have the crucial communication that's required.
Top damage, guys. Top.
What am I using? This is my Baker's dozen build. Like I said, I just swapped out for the swapped out for the rail splitter, and it's an all red build. Fortunately enough, with the optimization table, I was able to god roll everything. So I got my god roll contractor's gloves, my what is it called? The Fox Prayers knee pads. I do have vigilance backpack, so that's the gift. I have what do you call it? Glass cannon, so the sacrifice. So I do have the essential pieces that are needed to make this build. Everything is maxed crit chance, crit damage. So I'm very fortunate to have farmed those pieces and have this build because it allows me to melt some of these elites much quicker than I would otherwise. Okay, so that top spawn is very, very popular. Okay, so I'm just keep turning around because you never know. There's no mini map. You can't see a radar, so you have to be aware of what's going on. Not to mention, I just mentioned I'm wearing glass cannon, perfect glass cannon. So if I don't pay attention, if I get snuck up on by even one red guy, the reds hit pretty damn hard too. Yeah. So I will go down or at least lose significant amount of ammo, armor. Not ammo. I'll lose armor if I don't pay attention. So that's why I keep running around. I have quite a big space. You see, there's nobody else that's really nearby me. This is all me. Yeah. I do have whoever's watching plate number 1 over there. So he can turn around and help with ads once in a while. Please. But he's also focusing on, like I said, he's got to work on that plate, stand on the plate at the right time, and he's got to pop open that panel with the crossbow. So I gotta let him focus on that. So my job is to just get this get this done and keep the ads.
Getting some ammo. Sorry.
Okay. The other thing that you might have noticed, there is an alarm that goes off. I'm pretty sure the first alarm, the first time you hear it, it's to let you know that the Razorback is opened up, and I think drones come out. So there is somebody else that's actually running a jammer that's taking down the drones. Those striker drones will shred you, but you notice none of them have even touched me because whoever's running that jammer is doing the job.
Wait, backside is not done.
It looks relatively easy if you're seeing what's happening. Ads come out, I shoot them. Ads come out, I shoot them. It's really not that bad. But again, it's because these guys are doing their jobs. They're not having ads come out from their side coming to me. Nobody's really dying or going down. Okay, here we go. Sorry, Boomer is out. So I call it out. Okay, so I say Boomer number 1. My rail splitter, the soft part where there's no armor, unfortunately happens to be his butt. So you saw me just take him out pretty quickly by shooting him in the butt. And I just call it up. Okay, Boomer was at 1 and Boomer is down. There was probably a second Boomer because 2 Boomers will come out after you pass the halfway point. At the very beginning half of the damage on the Razorback, there's only 1 Boomer at a time. Okay? But you call it out so that everyone can rest easy. They're not waiting for their boomer to come out. They can be like, oh, the boomer came out from my stage, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. At least until the next wave. Okay. So boomer, very important. You don't kill him, he will wipe out the entire boss mission for the Razorback. Okay. All right. So what else was I saying? Yep. Everyone does their job. You communicate only as necessary, and yeah, just know what you have to do. If you happen to go down, if you do die, and something is happening that, since you're dead or you're reviving, your reviver has picking you up. You need to communicate that. Oh, I'm down, but there's ads. They're here. They're there. I'm down. There's a boomer that just came out. You want to try and communicate that as best as you can, so that somebody can break from their station at least for a little bit and come and help you if they can. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you might actually wipe because that happens. And having a group that's patient is very important. So this group is definitely a very patient group. We ran the second DH. This was a double DH back-to-back run, 2 speed runs. The second run wasn't nearly as smooth as this run. There were a couple of mistakes. I even died at one point, and it caused the wipe mechanic for this Razorback. But you know, the group was like, hey, you know what, it happened, and they were cool, and it only delayed us by 10-20 minutes maybe at most for all of the deaths and potential mistakes. Everyone was still on board to get it done, so that's important to have a group that's patient. If you ever do find a group and you jump in and you get any sense of someone being a little aggro or putting blame on somebody else, I'll tell you off the bat, even if it's a mild kind of like, oh yeah, hey bro, you should be watching your spot, and it's not said out of concern or care or spirit of teamwork, I would reconsider, you know, being there for much longer after that, because for me it's a sign that something more serious could happen, where maybe sometimes the coordination doesn't work out, people are tired, things happen, and you might end up having to redo a boss 3 or 4 times. That can get people tired, can get people upset. Not to mention joining a Discord, people are in several different time zones maybe. So what might be, you know, the evening or a comfortable time for you, it might be like 2 in the morning for somebody else, you know. So that really makes a difference in terms of temperament. Finding a group that's patient is important. And again, I wouldn't hold it against anybody. Just if you get a sense that it's not smooth or going the way that you really want it to go, or you just sense that it might cause conflict, then suggest a break, you know, or you take a break yourself if you feel that you're getting frustrated, you know. That's something that's important, and that's something I've noticed with a couple of groups that I've run with recently. They're fine with that, you know. You put in your effort, but if you feel like you're getting frustrated, you know, the group is most likely gonna just be like, hey, you know, it's cool, you know, you gotta go. They respect that people have things to do, and most likely, you know, they might be able to find someone else to fill the spot. And if not, you know, you just try again. You know, it's not the end of the world. There are checkpoints throughout the raid. So if you were to wipe Razorback several times, you can save this checkpoint. You can always come back to Razorback another time. You don't have to get it all done in one run. Okay? So yeah, I do recommend finding a group with patience. And so you can see now, we're at the very last wee stages of the Razorback. I'm still doing my thing. Everyone is still doing their thing. It's a matter of rinse, repeat, and communicate as needed. That's really the name of the game for the raid. So I think we're about to do maybe one more wave of ads, plates, and do damage to the Razorback. And once they take out the damage, once they finish the Razorback, there's one more very important component that you can't mess up. If you make a mistake at this very end, it'll also wipe this boss, and you have to do all of this all over again. It seems very long because this was a lot of rinse and repeat, but technically it's only been about 10 to 15 minutes for this boss. I would say maybe about 13 minutes or so, because we were at about I think 16 or 17 minutes. Okay, so the leader called for going home. What that means is my home. I'm Overwatch 1. So is the guy that was on the plates. He's right next to me. He's right beside me, and we're waiting for this panel in front of us. Everybody is at their panels waiting for it to light up, because you need to do damage to this panel. Okay, so when the boss, when the leader calls go home, this is what you need to do. You need to have someone at every rocket launcher station. There you go, it's red. So we're doing damage and we want to take it out. Okay, so if you die because an ad takes you out and you're only able to take down your rocket, it's gonna cause a wipe. So you need to have that taken care of. Okay, so you see there it is. Everyone took out their panels, they call it out, they help out, and there's all the loot. Okay, so again, even at the end of the raid, the loot is still, you know, it's better than challenging, you know, and somewhat better than heroic in my opinion. But you're not getting anything like massively better, you know. So it's not bad at all. But you're not in here for
31
these,
minutes,
random
57
loops.
seconds.
That's for sure. Okay, and then here, once you go up, you get the 5th key from completing the Razorback, and here's the box. And so you can open it up. You saw I had 5 out of 5 keys, and no EB for me.
Yeah, something like that.
Too bad, so sad. I don't think anybody here needed the Eagle Bear. We were just running it.
We stepped one, and then we took a double one.
Maybe there was 1 or 2 guys. I can't remember. But that's it. That's really all it is. Yeah, it's simple as that. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time.
Uno más.